Hey guys, this is Dread Archive here. Decided I'd go ahead and do something a bit different for a change and give you an overview of some software that I found recently. This is Gamepedia, and it's by a group called Bruji. It's a program that you use to archive your video game collection. They also have other programs as well, such as DVDpedia for your movie collections, Bookpedia, so forth and so on. They got quite a few that you can actually choose from, but for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to focus on Gamepedia. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to show you is basically what you do to add an actual game to your database. There's actually about two different ways that you can do it. The first one is by simply tapping on the add button up here, and what it does is it will search up the various Amazon websites and Moby Games website for the game and its information, which it will automatically put into all the fields that they supply you with. So let's see here. I'll say I'm going to add in, like right here, Street Fighter 2. So I'll just do a search real quick. Give it a second, and it pulls up basically every game that has Street Fighter 2 in the title somewhere. And right here you can see all the different Amazon sites that it'll go through throughout the world, Moby Games, so forth and so on. So you're pretty much always going to get a hit somewhere. Right here, this just gives you a longer list to actually go through rather than scanning through each individual one like this. You can just easily pull up 10 or so at a time and then scan through and go, okay, well here's Street Fighter 2, what one would that be? Super Nintendo version, alright. So I'll add that one to my collection. Now, right now, I have the borrowed section filled up right now, highlighted. So I just added this game to my borrowed section, which means that I have lent this game out to someone, and this gives me a way of remembering that so that later on I can get it back from whoever I put here whenever they borrowed it and whenever I want it the fuck back. So I don't actually own this game, so I'll just go ahead and delete that one real quick. But let's say if I wanted to add this to my actual library, just drag it over here and put it in the library, which is where basically every game that you have is. So I'll show you my library real quick. As you can see, I've got quite a few games, probably not nearly as much as I could, but hey, money is kind of hard to come by sometimes. But this is basically every game you have, all right there. You can sort them by title, platform, whatever you want up here. Now, if you want to organize them, which you probably are going to want to, what you can do is you can create little collections, sub-collections down here. You've got regular collections, which you basically just give it a title and you just drag whichever game you want from your library into that collection. Very specific that way. However, if you want to save yourself some time as you keep adding more games later on, you can make what's called smart collections. So when you make a smart collection, you get these different parameters here that you can tell it to search through the games by in order to automatically add them into this smart collection. I typically always just use the platform, which, whichever system the game was for, that's what it does. It'll search out whichever system you want it to add to. So as you can see, I've got myself a couple of smart collections here for my console games and the handheld games. Genres, that's just basically any game that I categorize as, like right here, RPG games. Here's a list of all my RPG games. But anyway, I'll give you an example of an actual game's data right here. Eternal Darkness, kick-ass game for GameCube, and of course you've seen my videos probably. This is where it shows you basically the summary of the game down here. The thing about this is information, it relies on whatever person that put the game up on Amazon actually typed in. Sometimes you'll get a nice summary, like maybe it's right off the back of the box or something, but sometimes you'll also notice that it's opinionated statements by an individual, and there'll be typos and all sorts of crap that you'll just want to change yourself later on. So that's where you come in and you would want to double click on that game, and it pulls up a little window here. So let's see, yes, and I'll mention that too. Your case art here, automatically it finds the case art that's on Amazon or wherever it finds the game information. It automatically puts the case art in here. Sometimes, and more often than not, you'll get a version that's extremely small, so it gets pixelated and nasty. So you'll want to either scan in your actual case, or if for some reason you ain't got it anymore, you can easily find a good version of the case somewhere online, and then you'll just save it, drag it in here, and there you go. So here's your basic information on this game right here. It's for the GameCube. None of this other stuff's really filled in yet because I don't really care about that much right now. So down here you got your summary. So whatever you want to type up, to make the game sound official, this is what the game is, well, this is where you type it. Your comment section here is more like what your own opinion of the game is, like what you remember about the game the most, that sort of stuff. So that's the basic gist of the information you get on a game. What I'm going to show you now is one of my favorite things, and it's the linking system. So what you can do with games in here is you can actually link external files and websites and such to this game's section. So let's say you've got a scanned version or downloaded version of the manual so that you don't have to worry about if you lost your paper manual, you'd still have access to reading the actual game manual. So I'll show you that right now. Down here it shows you all the links that you've created within this little window here. This will vary based on whatever kind of theme you've applied down here. These will change, but this is the one I use. So right here you can see I've got the manual linked, so I'll click on that. And then right here within the window it opens up the PDF of that game manual. So you can just, basically you can read the manual right here within the program. Pretty handy. Now another thing I personally added for this particular game is my gameplay videos. No doubt you've probably seen them on my YouTube account since you're watching this video at the moment. So I added a link that automatically opens up YouTube and goes straight to my playlist for Eternal Darkness. Because even I sometimes will watch the videos that I've recorded myself. And well, that's basically the linking system in a nutshell. Now I'm going to show you a couple of other little bonus things that I've done with this linking. Let's find a classic game, Sega Genesis. One of my favorite Sega Genesis games from being a kid, Castlevania Bloodlines. I actually own this game, and I will state for the record that Bruji, the people that make Gamepedia, they do not themselves condone doing emulation and ROMs and so forth. They don't mention how to do this or in any way actually tell you to do this. This is just something I came up with on my own one day, and I just thought it would be pretty handy and nifty. I've linked the actual ROM file to this game's information. So if I were in here one day and I just decided all of a sudden I want to play this game, well, there you go. I've linked the ROM file directly into Gamepedia. It automatically launches up my emulator, and there you go, Castlevania Bloodlines right here. So that's just something I thought of one day, that it would be pretty handy to have all my ROM'd versions of the games I own just easily accessed through a single program. So I basically took this one program and have turned it into my hub for all my gaming needs. Not just for keeping track of my collections, but also for entertainment purposes. One more quick example is PlayStation 2 Okami. I have a scanned version of my art book that I own for Okami. So what I've done with that one is it opens up the folder on my computer where all the scanned images are. I've made a PDF of it, but it's not exactly good quality, so I've just gone back to going to the individual files themselves. Later on, maybe I'll just go back to a simple PDF. But as you can see, it just opens up all the images that I can just scan through real quick if I want to look at them one day. You can also do this for your music. Whoops, that was a mistake there. You can do this for the music that you may have gotten your soundtracks ripped from, so forth and so on. I haven't really done anything that far yet, but that just gives you a pretty quick example of how much you can actually cram into this one little program.